Welcome to the Post Sports Chat. I'm sports editor Drew Rubenstein, and with me today is Ed Owens, our college football beat reporter. And Ed, it's been an eventful offseason for the Mountaineers, who are gearing up to start fall camp. Dana Holgorsen, right after the Pinstripe Bowl ended, promised that he was going to make a lot of changes and reevaluate the program after the 5-game slide to end last season, and he's certainly done that. There's a lot of new faces on his coaching staffs this season. So let's kind of start right there. There's a lot of new faces and new roles and things like that. Which coaching change do you think was most needed coming into this new season?
Most needed coaching change, I'd have to say, was Darren Roberts. Cornerbacks coach was the first move Dana made at the end of the regular season, even before the bowl game. Recognized that the corners just weren't doing what they needed to do. It was a liability, obviously evidenced by all of the yards they gave up, all the points they gave up in the Big 12 last year, and Holgorsen moved pretty quickly to make the change.
And you look at the defensive side of the ball, and Eric Slaughter is actually the only position coach who is still going to coach the same position group that he coached last season. On the defensive side, you have Keith Patterson, who's moved over into defensive coordinator, and then you also welcome back Tony Gibson to the staff to coach the safeties, and Brian Mitchell with the cornerbacks, as you mentioned. But would you stick with the defensive side of the ball, or would you move over to the offensive side if you look at which change is actually going to have the most significance on the Mountaineers this season?
I think every change you mentioned there was significant. I think all of those guys bring something different, but one guy you didn't mention was Ron Crook, offensive line. They brought him in from Stanford. I think with Bill Bedenbaugh leaving, that left a huge hole there. He really seemed like he had that going in the right direction, and I don't think anybody really saw him leaving for Oklahoma as abruptly as he did. Bringing Crook with a different mentality, uses the tight ends a different way. I think it opens up a lot of different things for them.
Going along with Crook, he comes from a different style of offense. How do you see him fitting into Dana Holgorsen and ultimately what he wants to do offensively? Are the Mountaineers going to be changing some of what they do on the line, or is it mostly Crook fitting in with WVU, or is that something to wait to be seen?
I think you do have to wait to see. I don't think he would have come here if he wasn't in line already with what Dana does. I mean, it's pretty obvious the kind of offense they run, the kind of offense he's comfortable with, and if Crook didn't see himself aligning with it, I don't think he would have made the move to come here. That said, it's a collaboration. I think all coaches bring something a little different. You might see them using their tight ends a little more, and they do have a few different guys, Will Johnson specifically, who could really jump out this year and have a big year kind of as one of the flex tight end guys you can use a bunch of different ways.
Overall, expectations haven't been this low for a WVU football team in quite a while. That said, these coaches obviously come in with some sort of expectation. I think the fans want to see that the program's at least moving in the right direction of all of the moves that Dana made to his coaching staff. Now as it's reassembled as it is, which coach has the most to prove this upcoming season?
I think hands down Joe DeForest, former defensive coordinator Joe DeForest, you mentioned it earlier. That was another move that Dana made really early in the actually end of the regular season before the bowl game. He promoted Keith Patterson and demoted Joe DeForest. So Joe is now just special teams coordinator and associate head coach. But that puts a lot of pressure on the special teams and really for him to have to demonstrate what he can do, there's going to be nobody else, and it's going to be on DeForest to get the special teams going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ed, we'll continue to have some more chats as fall camp begins in a couple weeks here. Thanks for joining us, and please continue to check thedpost.com for the latest sports videos and our daily newspaper, the Dominion Post, for all the latest sports news. Thanks for joining us.